Okay, another episode. This time we promised we're going to have a good guest. We have a very special guest. He came out to the house today. This is Vinny Uzi. I was thinking like how I was going to introduce you, and I was thinking, wait, personal trainer. You're not a personal trainer. Sounds like someone at LA Fitness. Right. Like that's kind of like almost like an insult. So how would you describe what you do? He's a strength coach for some of the best fighters in the UFC, Gregor, Gilespie, PFL, Chris Wade, any others that you're
trained Andre Harris a little bit.
Andre Harrison.
Got a lot of college wrestlers.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of high level athletes, but how would you describe yourself as a
trainer? I'd say I'm more of, I've trained bodybuilders as well. More of like a hybrid trainer, strength conditioning, hypertrophy, muscle building. Who I've always looked up to is someone, Charles Poliquin. He was known as the best trainer ever. He trained 300 gold medal Olympians, bodybuilders, fighters. I try to put my work kind of backed by Charles Poliquin. So I like an all-around rounded hybrid trainer.
And were you a bodybuilder?
I was when I was younger, yes.
So that's a lot of your knowledge is from that, I'm guessing. Because bodybuilders have to be in tune with recovery, nutrition, and the lifts and everything, right?
Exactly, yes.
Do you have any, did you have like formal training, anything?
Have I ever been formally trained?
Yeah, like with what you do?
No, just self-educated through the years, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best, I think. I was listening because you and Zane make all these clips, and the one thing that you said that I kind of wanted to get into, there was a small clip, I don't know, I'm going to paraphrase, but you said that traditional old school lifts compared to like the new wave, like standing on a balance beam, catching balls, like you prefer the old school. That's traditional lifts.
So I want to go a little deeper in this, right? So yes, traditional old school lifts like deadlifts, bench presses. And when I said about like the new scientifically lifts, I didn't mean box jumps and side laterals over hurdles and using bands.
Right.
I'm talking about, I see, and it is for Instagram, like real wizard shit, as I said, trying to do, draw posts or draw views on their Instagram with like someone 1 foot on a ball holding a fucking kettlebell and someone pulling them sideways.
Right.
That doesn't make you better, bro. It just looks cool. Might be good for balance, but like really, it's just a show. It makes me sick.
I've seen like, because sometimes I do strength and conditioning for my fights and stuff, and I always have. I'm not like the most naturally athletic person, so I've had to like work on it, especially for like strength and explosion, getting better at that over the years. But I lived in New Jersey for most of my career. I went all over different trainers and stuff throughout the years. And I've definitely been in I don't know the science, but I know like some stuff that I'm like, all right, I'm not doing this. Like I've definitely like put on the goggles where it like flashes or it like shuts one eye off. So it's like, then you can practice if you get like, poked in the eye or your eyes swell shut and you can do it. I'm like, I feel like there's like better time management when it comes to training. Like,
or like that was that one thing where things lit up.
People
were into that for a while.
Like to help your hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Speed. But like
you like old school stuff.
I mean, really, I always said if you want to be a better boxer, you box more.
Yeah.
If you want to be a better wrestler, you wrestle more. Could certain lifts make you better, or the word is like general physical preparation, GPP, your overall strength, and maybe some of your explosiveness. But really, at the end of the day, if you just lifted some basic weights and you wrestled all the time, that was majority, you'd be a better wrestler. They're trying to implement certain things.
Yeah. I think there's also such a importance on like the conditioning end of strength training. Like if you're strong for like a 3-rep max, it means almost nothing in combat sports. That's kind of like what we talk about mostly is jiu-jitsu, wrestling, fighting. But to be able to be strong for, 5 minutes, then 1 minute off, 5 minutes, how do you like to prepare athletes for that?
So really, like, I'm more of a strength trainer, but those guys, like I said it before, who do 3 reps and then you put them under a rep range of 15 to 20 for muscular endurance, they fall apart. So even in a basic lift like a back squat or a bench press, I like to train them to be strong in all rep ranges for endurance for strength and for max reps for low reps for 3 for explosiveness.
Do you ever like combine like airdyne sprints to squats or?
Not really, because that's CrossFit.
Yeah, you don't
Not
like
really.
that.
I like to separate it. But really, I think as in terms of conditioning workouts, if you were to look at like how much time you have more time spent doing the sport itself than weight training for the sport, and then a conditioning workout on the list should be like at the bottom end. I don't think that matters as much.
We've always kind of said that, like, strength and conditioning isn't conditioning. Conditioning is sparring and live wrestling.
Yep.
That's what we always think. So
Yeah.
I don't like when
Right.
people do like a treadmill sprint to bench press to
No.
ball slams,
No, you
because
separate
that is going to get you in good shape for those things, but that's not going to get you in shape to spar or to wrestle, right? You always say that.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I always like to do strength training, and then like I wouldn't say strength and conditioning. I would just say strength training, because I'm like, conditioning I'll get from wrestling and sparring, and I'm like, if I have to go somewhere, like strength training is where I don't know what to do. So if I have to like go somewhere and pay someone to do it, I don't need to pay someone to tell me like, push my cardio. I have enough discipline that I can
Right,
do that,
sure.
but the strength training, I don't really know what to do. So sometimes like when I would go places for strength and conditioning, there'd be other fighters there, and I would just say to them like, hey, I don't mean to be like a brat or say like I know it, but can we just do strength training? But some of those people would be doing like, taking the videos, all the other fighters would be taking videos of them like doing all the different airdyne bike sprints, which I do too, but in a separate thing. And they would do that, but then they wouldn't spar or go into wrestling, and then they would gas out in fights. And I'm
I've
like,
seen it. So I've seen guys who are incredible long distance runners. They could run like a gazelle for miles and miles. You put them under a little resistance of something
Mhm.
different, they fall apart in 3 minutes.
Right. Well, if you're efficient in something, like Michael Phelps could swim forever, but he probably can't run a marathon.
Right, exactly.
Right. So he's an efficient swimmer,
For
probably
that
an
one
inefficient
sport, exactly.
runner.
So what you said about like mixing like bike sprints and bench press, that's CrossFit. Or like, snatches, whatever they do. CrossFit's a sport in itself.
Right.
It doesn't make you a better wrestler. I mean, if you have the body and you can handle CrossFit workouts, and they're great for your overall conditioning and your shoulders are fresh and you have good hips and knees, not against it to throw it in once in a while, but it shouldn't be your main focus of to be a better wrestler or a fighter.
I feel like some of the workouts I've seen you do with Gregor, just I see the clips, but it looks like those are circuit.
He's different.
Things.
I've said
he's
this
a little
before.
different, right?
So we
talk
started
about
doing
that,
that.
because he's kind of like, if you have to have someone be like, I strength and condition train any athlete, he's
one of my first. So
he's like the most
yeah,
best example.
I mean, you could
of
throw him
strength
against the
and
wall, peel
conditioning.
him off, and throw him against the wall
So
again.
why is it different training?
So he's a rare specimen. He works out like 20 times a week or something like that. But we stick to those workouts because it's what we did in the beginning. But I do think a little differently. Like, so out to someone fresh, I would split the conditioning workouts with the strength. But with him, it's more like fun, and we've been doing it always. So we kind of just stick with it. He's the one person who I kind of do that with.
Right.
But I don't make him back squat and then like, bike sprint. I don't make him do that. I'll make him do like box jumps, bike sprint, ball slam, hammer, I won't make him lift like weights. I won't make him do cleans and burpees. He doesn't do that.
Right.
but you can't compare Gregor to anyone else. He does like his own thing.
Well, he trains different than
we got to leave him out of the equation.
Yeah.
But those are unique workouts, and it probably, I mean, you've become very popular on Instagram, but largely probably because getting like some notoriety of training like the best conditioned guy in the UFC.
Yeah, definitely.
That probably helped.
Sure, absolutely.
That's a good feather in your cap for sure.
Absolutely.
I remember someone that I know was is like my friend's brother. He does like he owns a CrossFit gym, and he used to know Gregor when they were younger, and he was like, "What's with your boys?" I don't know, some one of the lifts he was doing his technique. I was like, "Are you seriously like messaging me talking about Gregor's?" I'm like, "Do you think like what are you talking about? Like that hasn't." I'm like, "I think he's doing all right," and that's always funny. Like when I would do strength training, I would always like hesitate because sometimes I would. That's like the one training session where I have my phone out, you stop, you can take a video, post it, and I would put stuff up, and so many people, it's the most annoying thing when all these people like comment on like, you should be doing this, your form, you're here, and I'm sure like you see it all the time. I think the fitness industry, it's like so many people just think they know and there's only one way, and they just always give their 2 cents.
A pet peeve of mine. We were talking about fitness pet peeves in the past, and a couple of them was like, whatever's a pump cover now, and the bare feet in the gym and shit. But one is, this was the biggest one actually. The pet peeve is when it grabs your stomach and fucking twists it. And I didn't think of it in the past. But so like when CrossFit was very popular when it first came around, you get a guy who for 32 years of his life never lifted a thing or did any exercise, dusted the Pringles off his belly, saw a cool infomercial. I'm going to be a fitness expert. And then it's happened to me in the past. They've come up to me, Jim, guy doesn't look like he exercised days in life. I see him teaching 2 people, comes up to me and teaches me about my squat. I'm like, yo, get out of my face, bro. You got to get out of here.
Yeah. That's a good thing about like fighting. You could just like, I could be like, all right, no. But when I post, I'm telling you, I could post myself doing like the most basic thing and I'll get DMs from people be like, this is how you do it. I'm like, okay. Cause it's just cause, you know, like working out, like everyone can do it. And there's no, you know what I mean? And there also is different things. Like some people might think, like you said, barefoot, they're like, you have to do it or you don't have to do it. Or it's like so many things where I'm like, who cares? But people in the fitness industry are like trolls.
Form is important, absolutely. But his form wasn't that off where it had to be critiqued that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, right? So you have someone pressed against a cage and you dump them on the head. Do you have to be in every inch of a perfect position to be able to get it done?
It's just effort.
No, there's awkward positions.
Yeah.
His was off a little bit. It wasn't so bad where he was going to cause injury. They were just critiquing him just to be annoying.
Yeah, of course.
Such a hate, like so many haters. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
What do you think about like a traditional, if you're an athlete, jiu-jitsu fighting, and you do traditional bodybuilder workouts?
You'll be strong in certain ways, right? But again, a bodybuilder doing jiu-jitsu or forget boxing, you'd be lacking a lot of range of motion, strength in certain areas, and imbalances. They're just strong in actually like one plane. So if you're going to train for strength in sports, you have to be strong in awkward positions as well.
Do you know Gordon Ryan?
I do.
He's a good friend of ours. He's probably the strongest like grappler I've ever felt. He's like super high on, he only believes in bodybuilding workouts.
So let me go back to that. All right.
But most people don't agree with that.
So
but he's 100%.
So if you take a bodybuilder, right, who has been bodybuilding for 20 years and then started doing jiu-jitsu later in his life, that would be the case what I just said. Take Gordon Ryan, he's the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the world, and started implementing bodybuilding workouts into his regimen. It could cross over easier because he has the technique and form and strength in odd areas. He just made his body stronger. Instead of the other way where you got someone who's strong and stiff and immobile, they're trying to get the feel of positioning on the ground. It's not going to work the same way. Mm-hmm. You know that though.
Yeah, of course. But I always did think it's unique though. He's like emphatic. The only thing that works is bodybuilding.
It went the other way.
The only type of strength training he's done too.
Yeah, he's super uniquely gifted like Gregor, and then also enhanced. But he's, really high on bodybuilding workouts. He said that's
back day, chest day, shoulder day,
exactly.
arm day.
Back by, shoulders, tries.
That's where you get the most amount of muscle growth of like bodybuilders, right? If you think about what a bodybuilder, they don't really primarily do jujitsu. You want to destroy the muscle, and then they say the best bodybuilders are a lazy bodybuilder, and then they just
lay around.
You just lay around and eat.
Let your body
right?
rest.
He doesn't lay around and eat.
Right.
So if he does deep bodybuilding workouts and to recover and train as often as he does, that's pretty rare. Because I've done it. I've trained a muscle group, and then you try to train a day or so later, the muscle's still murked, and you can't perform the same way.
Right.
Maybe he won't be able to later in his life. How old is he?
27.
Yeah, you'd still, regardless, you'd still feel it though, even though you could recover a little faster than someone my age. But still, bodybuilding workouts usually don't transfer over to best.
And I think too, a lot of athletes, if they, especially in jiu-jitsu or fighting, if they haven't like grown up their whole life lifting and then they start training and then they add it in, it's a little bit, if they add in the bodybuilding, they're like, oh, this is great. It's like, well, you've never done anything. So no matter what you add, you're going to be stronger.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So, and that's probably.
You just do push-ups.
I mean, he probably didn't, someone like, or whoever, they probably didn't, a lot of jiu-jitsu guys wait till they get to a certain level, then they start lifting. And then if they adapt to bodybuilding, because maybe, they know, it just kind of depends. If they're like, for him,
so he started
Sonny
bodybuilding. He was already a black belt in jiu-jitsu when he started lifting weights.
He was probably
but pretty high level. Pretty high level.
Yeah.
All right, so he was high enough level where he knew what the feel was on the ground. Certain muscles were strong.
And
his
he's
hips are
like
loose.
uniquely flexible.
Yeah, so he's
long.
he's the 1%.
Yeah.
Because I think his wife Sunny, used to do bodybuilding, so she does like all his like his programs, so that's how he kind of got into it.
Yeah. You think it's easier to train a bodybuilder or an athlete?
So with bodybuilding, it's not just, what people think you just go and lift weights. There's a certain way to keep growing muscle.
Yeah.
Variables, periodization, how to increase different techniques, drop sets. You got to keep changing up or your body just gets used to it. It's the same thing. I think athletes and bodybuilders that keep progressing with a bodybuilder, it's about the same because you have to do the same type of periodization for an athlete as well to increase their performance. It's a pyramid, how you ramp up, ramp down, rest.
I always think that like bodybuilding, because I see like online and just in gyms, like what, especially like girls that do like figure and stuff, what they do. People talk about fighters and cutting weight. That's what they do for like 10 times the amount that we do. Like, because for us, like, most people that cut, like I cut a lot of weight for a girl. It's 8 weeks of dieting, measuring. I measure out, use a scale and all that. But for bodybuilding, they do that for like 15 to 20 weeks. And then they take time off and then they do it. The diet, because I think for fighting, the hardest part is like dieting and making weight. And for us, it doesn't matter what you look like. You just, the number is all that matters. But for there, it's like you could be dropping weight, getting lean, but your proportion's not right.
Is way harder.
That's it's so insane.
At the end of the day, for me to get lean, if I cut out all the starchy carbs, you get lean.
I'm the same way. I did the last 30 days, I guess the day after Christmas till today, I did just meat and fruit.
You get lean.
I got pretty lean. I lost 13 pounds.
Yeah, you get lean.
I'm not lean where I have been, but
Yeah.
I got pretty lean.
And not worrying about like amount, time,
No
calorie,
calories
like no
at
calorie
all. I didn't
restriction.
count.
So they say like it's because your total caloric intake is much lower.
Yeah.
Just because you're not
You're
going
not
to
eating
just, I'm going to
carbs.
pound a bowl of ground beef on the couch. Like,
But like I do eat a little more meat because you're hungrier.
Yeah.
I'll eat more red meat or whatever, and I'll have some fruit. I actually tried doing like the carnivore MD does. He was like,
that's what I do. That's the one.
yeah,
I
but
did.
he was like eating like papayas and shit with everything. I'm like, I
hard
don't
to-
want to eat watermelon with like my ribeye right now.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I'll
Yeah.
eat like a ribeye and like I'll have some salt with it or whatever.
And
And like
snack
even then,
on.
I was having some vegetables, even though they say it causes toxins, which I think he's
Yeah.
full of
I don't
shit.
believe that.
No, that's just his his angle on
Mhm.
Instagram, But even though they say fruit sugary and whatever, but you gotta also take into account the volume of fiber that's in
Mhm.
fruit, and it just burns off faster. I just know my body. I've been doing this for so long. I mean, I enjoy eating rice like a lot, so it's either none or I have it.
That's the same. That's how
I don't
the same
I don't
exact
have
way.
a half a cup.
I can't do that.
A half a cup's like a teaspoon. It's
Yeah.
like a tease.
Well, I can't do that with anything.
No.
Like
Yeah.
if I couldn't even eat like a slice of pizza. I eat
No, I
an
eat a
entire
pie.
pizza.
I don't have
Yeah.
a slice.
Yeah.
either.
No.
So it's either none or
yeah, I could easily do none though.
Yeah.
Easily.
So if I cut it out and I'm strict to it, I cut it out.
Yeah, me too.
So that's when I'll benefit my physique.
So if you're like, if someone comes to you and they're like, okay, I want to get in shape, you take into, and they want, in reference to diet, how do you go about them? Do you just kind of look at each individual and what their like lifestyle
Usually
is?
right away,
goals?
right off the bat, most people, they're just eating way too many carbs.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends the person, of course. I sometimes also, you can't slam them with everything
Yeah.
because they'll burn out and they won't do it. So, I've said this before, when you look at the mountain, right? And you look at the whole fucking mountain, you're like, oh my God, I got to climb this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I always tell them, take one meal at a time. If every time you go to ingest something, make a conscious effort to eat something good in the direction where I pointed you. So just say if it was like a fat and protein diet, right? You make sure you have your protein. Have some kind. Do the best you can, even when you're at. You could do that shit at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And if you fuck up, okay, but then get back on the horse.
Right.
Don't look at like the whole shit. You're not going to do it, right?
Right.
For instance, I'm going to tell you, my brother-in-law, I've said this a million times. He's heavy, works a lot, does really well, and he drinks fucking like iced tea and eats Wendy's. He goes,
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to do. I got to eat egg whites and grilled chicken. I go,
It's too much of a change.
that works, but
Yeah.
You're not gonna do
stick
it.
to it.
No way.
You got to make it a lifestyle. I was just talking with Keith the other day. You got to make your food a lifestyle to enjoy it and where it benefits you. And I've learned to do that over time.
That's kind of where we're at, right now. Like for me, I'm always like in camp, food scales out, and then when I'm not in camp, I'm like, all right, like whatever. And I'm like, oh, and then I get heavy and I'm like, oh, I'm not confident. I want to like, and with cutting weight and fighters, it's like you go from same thing I'm sure people experience in bodybuilding. You go from being super lean. I mean, I cut 25 pounds. So like 3 times a year, my weight goes up and down 25 pounds. So it's like, when you're lean, you're like, you start to think that that's normal. And then when you go up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so big. And like I have like 2 sets of clothes for everything. But I try to, every time I'm like not in camp, I'm like, all right, I got to figure it out how to not be so extreme, but not either way. And then I'm like, wow, this is tough. This is what like normal people are like. They're like, well, you cut weight. I'm like, yeah, but I'm getting paid for it. I have a contract. When that's not there, there's like,
you need a goal.
Yeah. Luckily, I fight often. So I fight often. So that kind of keeps me in check. But then I'm starting like, as I get older, start thinking, okay, well, I got to start getting a grip of this because eventually there's not going to be the fights. And what I mean? I don't want to just
when you go
up.
off, do you really roller coaster? Like, I'm sure you don't eat that big. You just eat like a lot of good food that you like more rice and more stuff like that.
Yeah,
I guess. More chips.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, I'll eat like healthy all day, but then I'll have like either like ice cream or a cookie at night.
That's what we do.
But like I do eat, like I try to make sure I have like protein and I'll say like, all right, I'm going to get 130 grams. When I'm not paying attention, I'll get like 90 grams of protein. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I've heard people say in the past, like as an athlete, especially a combat athlete, you shouldn't be that lean year round.
You shouldn't be.
Right? Like what body fat do you think you should be at?
Body fat percentage?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say I'm like probably like 14 now or 15, probably like around there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too.
A little cushion.
Like if you get below 10,
you're too. You're susceptible
that's
to
not
injury.
good for year round.
Girls carry around a little bit more body fat, so the percentage like that would equate to like 15% for a man, probably be in like the low 20s, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that, or maybe the same because you are an athlete.
Yeah.
Girls do.
Not the same.
Maybe a little bit the same percentage.
I don't know what
I was never a body fat percentage guy.
Just how you look.
The mirror. I tell people stop stepping on a scale unless you're a fighter.
Yeah.
You drive yourself crazy. I go, how do you feel? How your clothes fit? You feel more jacked? Your clothes okay, good.
I listened to one of your clips that you guys had, and you said talking about how you used to just eat tilapia and rice, and you just heat it in the microwave. Because you just want to be the most jacked guy at Neptune's, right?
I was shredded. I wish I had pictures of that. It was so long ago.
And that was just for vanity, no reason, right?
Just for vanity.
Just getting chicks.
I feel like when I was like in college, that's like all girls ate. It was like tilapia and broccoli. It was
so
like
then
what
would that be? You just eat that like 3 times a day?
I literally, what I'd have like probably 2 cups of egg whites in the morning. Or I'd have, actually, no, that's what I'd do. I would have a whey protein shake. Get to work, I would cook my egg whites. I'd eat them cold on the job site with hot sauce.
Yeah.
No carbs.
Egg whites and hot sauces.
Egg whites and hot sauce. Cold. It'd be cold out. Fucking
hot sauce, you get anything down though.
Oh, I'd chew it down. I just had a goal in mind. I was serious.
Yeah.
Now I'm like fucking lazy and just had a goal in mind, right? Every bite I was more shredded. Lunch, I'd eat like, what'd I have then? I had a turkey burger. This is when I had a turkey burger. No, then actually, no. I would actually microwave it and bring it. The tilapia with cold rice. If I was able to heat it, I was able to eat. Sometimes I wasn't able to, but I'd chew it down. On the train home, that's what else I did. I have a whey protein shake, and I know it worked. I wasn't eating much fat, but I ate a bag of like cashews or peanuts just because I liked it.
Yeah.
Yo, but the shit worked. I was fucking shredded.
Isn't it weird how sometimes you can be like, oh, this is easy. You're just focused and in the zone, and then other times, you know what I mean?
Spray butter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can't believe I would do that literally. I do the tilapia and fish probably 2 times a day. And then,
And that was for like how long of a stretch? Like
10, 12 weeks.
10, 12 weeks.
Microwave, and I'd have 2 servings of it. So I buy the frozen bags that were microwave. I'd throw 2 in the microwave. It was disgusting.
Is this before you were married?
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's kind of tough when you're like, that's like a.
No, I mean, we were definitely, we were definitely dating. She was like, you're insane.
Yeah.
But when we first met, when I was like bulking, when I was in my early 20s, I was huge. I used to be like 230 pounds.
Wow.
And she was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to live? Because I forget how much I used to eat.
So much food, right?
I used to eat the family size package of chicken. every other day.
That's crazy. It's just so much prep, and because even like
And you'd probably just like boil it, right? Like,
Dude, I would fry it.
fry it.
I would eat it any which way. It was just about
George
calories.
Foreman grill,
Yeah.
just do that. Yeah,
That's exactly what I was
that
doing.
was like before
George
the air
Foreman-
fryer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
George Foreman grill.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
ate
like,
so much chicken. I can't even eat grilled chicken anymore.
The one thing I used to do when I was like cutting weight that reminds me of like bodybuilding diet was the oatmeal with Splenda packet on it.
Yeah.
Like Splenda was huge for now. I'm like, oh my God.
Now that's bad for you.
Now
right?
I'm like, I ate so much Splenda, like
So
trying
much.
cutting weight, like on
Do
everything.
you know how many
Like
packets I'd have a day? When I was, I
probably
did one
insane.
show when I was a kid, and I was really ripped at like in the 70s, but I listened and I'm like, dude, you got to go 154. I starved off 20 pounds. I started losing my mind. I shouldn't have did it.
Yeah.
I couldn't even go to the store. I was really losing my mind, like eating my brain. And I remember I would eat, ready? You want to hear what I ate? To get to that weight, I ate in the morning, I think I had egg whites, but only like a half a cup with a half a cup of oatmeal. It was such a little volume of oatmeal. I kept adding water to make it more like soup.
Right.
I was starving off muscle.
God.
And I would put like 5 packets of Splenda that my body wanted sugar.
And
so
this is
bad.
for like an amateur bodybuilding show.
Yup.
Like nothing on the line.
For nothing on the line. Just for like,
That's a lot of mental strength.
That's why I
Dude.
always
Because like
think-
if you're fighting for, $500,000, you could probably
I
deal with some
starved
shit.
myself. I
It's an
gained 30
amateur
pounds. I
bodybuilding
gained
show.
30 pounds in a day.
Oh yeah.
I went to 180 something by like literally Monday morning. I remember.
You think that fucked your body up?
No,
long-term?
that did. My
No.
body recovered from that. But I went up to 230 and I was tremendous. I was strong then too. But like I almost looked like kind of like like Odd Job from those old James Bond movies and like Mario
Yeah,
Lopez. Like a blend of that.
Do you think it's bad for, like, honestly, for say like my body for it to go up and down that much? I mean, I feel fine, and I feel fine when I fight, and like after I just have like I noticed the last like 2 years, like 2 to 3 days after, like the week after my fight, I have heartburn. But besides that, I'm like, it can't be good
No, it's
for
not good for you.
yeah.
It does take a toll on your endocrine
I mean, I'm doing
system.
like 3 times a year,
Yeah.
3-4 times
But
a year.
It takes a toll on your endocrine system. Now your body functions, the loop time going up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over time. It, everybody's different. You could recover from it, but it does take, a toll on your body. Physically.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would like the best way to recover from that is just like trying not to like go so hot, like the cycling. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
That's what like the past
You
year-
do it really professional and healthy though.
No,
Like-
I do it healthy cutting, but I'm still going down and up. Like,
Yeah.
up, you know what I mean? I diet like most of the way down. I diet like maybe like 10 to 15 pounds down, and then the rest is water, which is like better than some people. Like, I mean, I'm cutting like the last day, I'm cutting
Yeah.
like about 8 to 10 pounds of water. So, I mean, it's not like I'm cutting 25 in the week
It's
of
a
the
big,
fight.
huge water cut.
Yeah, but I'm still gaining it back within a month later. I don't gain it all back. I don't get back up 25 pounds like, a week later. It's usually
gradually happens.
yeah.
But still, it's the 25 up.
It's still up and
The
down
25
a month
down.
later.
The 25 up.
Mhm.
It's not good for you.
Yeah.
What about performance enhancers? If you want to,
Yeah, I'll talk about them.
if you want to, for let's say your UFC allows steroids now. What's the optimal stack for performance?
If they did, you say.
Yeah, right now all steroids are legal in the UFC. Hypothetical.
No
The
test.
optimal stack.
So whenever you build a steroid cycle, right? Let's just say a bodybuilder or anybody, testosterone is always, you got to look at it like food. All right. When you go to a steakhouse, are you going to just order cream spinach and mashed potatoes? No, testosterone is your ribeye and porterhouse. That's your steak. Everything else is built around it. Your equipoise, your windstroll.
So you
your
could pick
tren.
one steroid.
You could get
it's
gains.
testosterone.
You could get gains off the other. Testosterone is the king.
Yeah.
So if I've said this before. I love this analogy. If I was to be stranded on an island for the rest of my life, what would you need? I'd need a laptop with porn. All right. Cheeseburgers and testosterone. I'm good.
Then you're good.
That's it. I'll squat coconuts and shit.
Yeah.
You know?
So testosterone, have that. That's first
Testosterone, if they were going to allow one thing,
well, anything you could
testosterone.
Just
Testosterone,
that.
yeah.
That's all you need.
absolutely.
So that's like
And
way
yeah.
above all the other stuff.
As
You know,
in
it's,
terms of the performance, you
Performance,
get,
yeah.
I'm really
muscle
happy
growth.
you said that because that's kind of what I always thought too. But we were telling you earlier we had an expert like doctor nutritionist on the podcast, and we were talking similar conversation about like performance enhancers, this that, and I said testosterone's got to be the most important, and he said no, salt and water.
Over what?
And I said, what do you mean? He's like, if you drink a salt water solution before you compete, it raises your blood plasma a certain amount, and you'll have better performance than if you're on testosterone. I was like, salt and water is better than testosterone? And he was like, yes. He's like, I could show you data. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
So now this, right? I'm going to go to data.
I guess if you had no water at all in your system and no salt at all, you'd die.
So
Maybe
I'm
that's
like,
what he's saying, but I don't think that's what he's saying.
I'm a guy who was educated on applying and knowing what works. You're going to tell me that a guy who's been running 500 milligrams of testosterone, all right, over someone who just drank some salt and water before,
Yeah.
that motherfucker's going to outperform him? Yo, dude,
I don't think so.
this guy's wrong and twisted.
He
I
said
don't
that,
care
right,
what,
Zane?
I don't care what book, I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. And I know a lot
I was
of
like,
people
well,
agree with me.
I'd rather fight someone that's on salt water than testosterone.
Yeah.
What do you think your number, what's an ideal number for performance?
Okay, so there's a range, nanograms per deciliter
Mhm.
is the measurement, and a normal human being ranges between 250 on the low end to about 950, 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. So when we're kids, right, everybody has a different line. Years ago, we didn't know what your baseline was, right? So you want to be high optimal. You want to be about 800, 900, which is the highest level. 700, you feel good. 800,000 ideally. So now when people shoot exogenous testosterone, right? You know, TRT is very popular, etc. Bring you back to when you're 19, feeling good. A lot of times you start to go into something called the supraphysiological phase, where you go above the optimal, and therefore you could offset certain things in your body and have side effects, like your lipid profile gets offset, your HDLs drop a little bit, your LDLs get driven up, you cause your blood to thicken a little bit faster, etc. That's why you want to stay in that high optimal range. Even though you are high optimal with exogenous testosterone, you still have to take care of certain things when on TRT, like dumping blood. It just happens.
Yeah.
When you introduce outside source testosterone, it tricks your bone marrow just to start making more red blood cells. Iron goes up, so you do have to pay attention to donating blood. Most people do.
Yeah. Anything else?
With maintenance, well, you should go, you know, for like PSA checks. You should do blood work, you know, a few times a year when you're on TRT. You don't just do TRT and even the last time you said, oh, I'm high optimal, I'm good for like another year. No, you should go on the regular because you are introducing something outside into your body.
Yeah. What about growth hormone? Does that do anything for performance, or that more?
It
just
has
like,
more of a recovery and body composition, and for cartilage and tendon repair, it doesn't have any effect on contractile protein for strength.
So
Zero.
So it's more for like
It'll lean you out.
injury
too.
If you're
prevention.
injury
and,
prevention, cosmetic, you look good.
and you're able to train
Anti-aging,
more.
maybe, yeah, you recover.
So yeah, that
faster.
the advantage there. I think a lot of like older fighters or later in their career, they would benefit from that just so they could get through the 3 trainings, two sessions a day without, you know, going to spar and then not being able to move for later to go to jiu-jitsu.
See, the thing with fighting though, and testosterone, the thing is that it can put on a little too much muscle. It can. I mean, if you implement a small amount, everybody's body's different.
Because you
They're-
retain water, right?
maybe to a certain extent of that, but everybody has a sensitivity response on the anabolism end of it, how you know, protein absorption, etc. Some people could respond to 100 milligrams over others much easier. You know, that's why there's certain other compounds that are maybe better for sports, maybe, but overall, if you had to say the base one that is the best for everything is testosterone. You've heard of Anavar, could be, doesn't put weight on, makes you stronger, you know, but at the end of the day, the benefits and the strength gains you get off of testosterone far outweighs Anavar.
Okay, so now not performance, but just to look your best. Jack, same answer.
Testosterone.
How about for a female?
No. Females the only anabolic a female should take, because it has 0 to no androgenicity, is Anavar.
Yeah.
You know, they say like, oh, girls play a windstorm shit. It causes virilization, which is masculinizing of a female, right? To get serious unwanted side effects that are irreversible.
Like the voice change.
And facial hair and other things, you know, clitoral growth. So if you look at the female and male, we're pretty much the same. We are the same as we're a fetus. And you get a DNA signal through hormonal changes, which develops you into a female or a male. Ovaries and testicles, clits
or
and penis.
non-binary. Or non-binary.
Yeah. Right.
So after, okay, when I'm done fighting, and then I have kids, I should go on Anavar if I want to get ripped. I'm like, yo, when I'm done, I'm gonna be in like better. She always says this. I always say this as soon as I'm done fighting, and then I'm like, okay, and I guess after kids, because I don't want to like, you know, mess with any of that stuff. But after that, I'm like, I'm gonna be so shredded. I'm gonna be like juiced out of my mind. I'm definitely taking.
There's
stuff.
so many peptides.
I've been waiting.
Well, because then you can get into
something.
Be like, if you wanted to do, if you're done fighting, you could get into jujitsu and be jacked, because you're allowed to take steroids. That's like, the most steroid sport.
I'm like,
you're allowed to.
I know they're jacked.
It's
they're like bodybuilders.
Yeah, they're like bodybuilders. Yeah. But what's ironic about that is I think jujitsu is the only sport that you can get to a pretty high level and be completely weak. It's so technical that you can be really good and have like no muscle at all.
Just so technically good.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that. But
it's just at the top.
At the very top, the 80cc style too, that's more like wrestling. Those guys are
bodybuilders, juiced up.
Yeah.
You know, but also the juice and so on like that. Not only for muscular size and strength, but they're trained so often, it helps tremendously in recovery. You can train so much more often.
I'm going to be a retired mom, shredded. And I'll be like, wait, why are you in better shape now than when you were fighting in the UFC?
So another clip I heard of yours along the same lines, like growth and test, was you said about the Liver King. You said that you felt that his prolactin levels, I don't know if you felt that or did you see something that indicated what his levels were?
I just know from certain compounds that what he was doing, if the volume of growth hormone that he was in, which is stupid.
But test messes with your prolactin too, or just
not
growth?
Testosterone. Growth hormone and certain nandrolone-based drugs do raise progesterone and result also raise your prolactin.
So when you said that his prolactin was high, for people that don't know what that does, it's what allows you to have like a strong erection.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You felt that he probably wouldn't be able to have an erection.
That amount of growth hormone, you should definitely have some elevation of prolactin, and it definitely does crush your erection function.
Yeah,
that volume, if his prolactin was that high.
At what would be that high?
The number, well, it was I based it off.
What number would be that high?
As in terms of prolactin number, that I really couldn't tell you. Yeah. But as in terms of the volume of IUs of growth he was taking, you get excellent results from something like even just 2 IUs. 2 to 4 is such a dramatic jump. You think it's only 2, but it's really like dramatic because I've done it. 4 to 6 is even more. He was doing, it said like 9 to 12, I think.
Crazy.
Professional bodybuilders don't even do that.
Yeah.
So I said,
well, he's 46 years old and looked that way, you know?
Yeah, but you also, now I also got to say is how good is the quality of the growth hormone you're getting.
If I'm sure he was on good stuff, right?
Maybe, you know, from what it said and I read, you know, that was a pharmaceutical grade growth hormone.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Because I used to take Kratom a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Kratom?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't take it anymore. But I got tested my blood work and it had like, not like a dangerously high, but they're like, oh, your prolactin's a little high. And Kratom raises your prolactin.
Really? I didn't know that.
It's the number one side effect, like negative side effect.
Really?
Yeah.
So the continuous use of it. See, so prolactin affects people in all different, so it's a sensitivity to it. You know, some people could have a somewhat slightly elevated and they're completely fine. Some people have just a touch of it and they feel all the side effects.
Yeah. I mean,
well, then
I don't think it's a good thing, but I stopped taking it for a variety of reasons, but that was definitely one of them.
And you noticed that?
I did. Yeah,
really? It was because you just did it very often.
Like,
probably.
I did it very often, and, you know, I won't get too specific, but I was able to, you know, if you're on Kratom, it'd be hard to finish.
You noticed.
It'd be hard to finish.
It's hard to finish.
It's very hard to finish.
So I noticed why I did that when I used growth hormone when I was a bodybuilder. It would be hard to finish.
Yes.
And
like you couldn't do it, and then you'd have to, you know, do it after you had
It was
sex.
hard to
You
finish.
can't finish when you're
That's
on-
how I
That's
knew,
how I
though.
felt. Yeah.
But that's how I knew when I stopped bodybuilding and I stopped all this stuff. I mean, I've been on testosterone forever. I just still take, I take TRT. When I stopped all the other stuff, how much better at performance I was in that aspect. I was like, holy shit, that shit was
Yeah.
fucking me up.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that's what I base it off of.
Do you take kratom?
Once in a while.
Yeah,
know,
I
I'll
loved
take
it, but
I don't
It's
do
got
it.
a lot of negative.
Yeah, it was actually it's actually pretty good when I did it. I'm like, wow, I feel pretty
Yeah.
good on it. Let me do a little more. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel so
Did you
good
get
right
nauseous?
now.
Oh, you throw up, bro.
Well, I didn't eat food with it.
I took it
I'm like,
once.
I'm gonna fucking get wrecked right now. I'm gonna eat on an empty stomach, drinking. I'm like, oh, that wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah.
I took
Yeah.
it once and I got nauseous. So then from that point on, anytime I would smell it, it would like make me nauseous.
like I get sick from a food, like
Yep.
you have food poisoning.
And so I could never, he would take it and I could like smell it on his breath and I'd be like, oh my
Oh
God,
my
oh my
God.
God. Or like just watching him take it would make me sick.
It was hard to get off that too.
It was really
Like,
hard for you.
Legit, like a week of insomnia and depression.
No way.
Dude.
Well, because you did it so
you
much.
cannot imagine.
So
You
at the end of
didn't-
the
and you
day,
accidentally. I don't know.
I
did we talk about-
accidentally got off it, basically.
so at the end of the day, it's a drug essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I was like so depressed, and I'm not really like,
Yeah, you're
dude,
not
like suicidal. Not suicidal, literally, but like
really
like,
depressed.
So what is
So
kratom?
depressed.
It fills the opiate receptor,
Yeah.
right? In the same way. Because when I remember I did it, I remember I was like, watch someone do it, and like, dude, this stuff's the best, right? And then I remember I had this stuff called Mind Bullet. Given when I went out west, I'm like, I was sitting there, I'm like, I had some papers to do for the workouts. I'm like, you know what, fucking focus, let me try it. I drank it, and I'm like, I was expecting like a little. I'm like, yo, this is like way more than I expected.
Yeah, especially
Well, I was
like
taking
in
the-
the,
I was taking,
like-
packaging. You think it's not. You're not.
I was
I'm not
taking the
gonna feel it.
extract. Like
Yeah.
it was like really concentrated, like super strong, like not stuff you'd really buy anywhere. Like
Yeah.
kind of
I
expensive.
texted my friend. I'm like, yo, this is not like some fucking
Yeah.
herbal tea shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
No,
I'm pretty-
it's not.
I'm pretty murked right now.
But
Yeah.
that raised. I didn't really even know what prolactin was, and my buddy Tim Carpenter, he's kind of like you. Like he's not like a doctor, but he's been around it so much.
Yeah.
Like you could ask him anything, and he'll be like,
He'll
"Oh, you
know,
take this,
yeah.
this, and this."
Yeah.
So I told him, I was like, "Yo, I went to the doctor and said my prolactin's high," and he's like, "Oh, order this. It was some supplement." And he's like, the porn stars all take this.
I mean, you
because
can-
it
you can-
lowers or it
You
fights
could
it
lower
off.
actually, which
But then
which
I
is
quit
very-
it, and then it went down.
Vitamin B6 works.
Yeah, that was
Simple
one of
vitamin
them. Yep,
B6.
it was vitamin B6.
800 micrograms a day.
Yep.
Or they make a medication for some people who have like a serious.
There was some
medical.
egg thing too. I have the bottle downstairs.
Okay, so Ozempic's like super hot right now, but I feel like maybe I know like I have friends that are on it and they're losing. It's basically all the like white girls that want to get super skinny, but I know a couple girls that are on it and lost like so much weight, but they look so unhealthy. And I feel like
that happens first.
I feel like people that like train with you or like, you know, are into training wouldn't want to take it because that's not the look they want because they all look like no muscle. And
you do lose muscle from what I understand.
Well, you don't eat.
They're
you
literally
don't eat.
My friend's
no
on
appetite.
it and she's like got a grilled cheese sandwich. She's like, and she's someone like has a huge appetite, which is, you know, why she got heavy. And she's like, I ate half of a small grilled cheese and I'm about to throw up. And they're eating nothing and they feel like they want to throw up. And that's why they're losing all this weight because their calories are like they're like 500 calories a day losing weight. And then I know girls that lost all this weight, but they all have this sucked out face.
Yeah, they have sucked out face.
They look gross.
So what I also understand though that does play something with your insulin levels and how much insulin.
Well, it was a
secreted.
diabetic drug.
Okay, so now this, right? I saw actually someone who lost 26 pounds. He actually looked good.
Mhm.
I go,
A
dude,
guy.
a guy.
Yeah. Okay.
I go, dude, did you? I go, what the fuck? How are you?
Fast,
he goes,
right?
he goes, I'm eating the same. I'm not eating great, but I'm not eating good. I still, you know, go out and entertain my clients. I said, how often you drink? He's like, every day. I'm like, you mean like 3? He's like, no, like 5. Like I said, like 1 drink. He's no, like 4 drinks. And he'll go out to eat and he'll go like steakhouse good.
Mhm.
Like I have a steak and like the fucking buttered vegetable,
Yeah.
but leave out
Lobster
the potatoes.
mac.
But like you shouldn't be losing 26 pounds
Yeah.
pretty quick. So I didn't read too much about her. It could maybe enhance cancer cells that are underlying, maybe. But the way I look at it is this: it hasn't been around long enough, and it's being used for something it's not really meant to. That if it's
Right.
this good, whatever goes up must come down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nothing's that fucking good. Nothing.
Right.
You're gonna tell me you lose all the body fat. there's going to be no repercussions in the future. I don't believe that.
Well,
I
and
don't
the thing
either.
is, this is what happens. So when you're on it, you lose this from what I've heard. When you're on it, you lose all this weight, but you can't be on it forever. So yeah, you might lose weight. And if that's going to like motivate you, say you drop 30 pounds, you're like, okay, now I feel good. Then you go off the medication. Well, now you're not getting sick when you eat half a sandwich. So now you're going to eat the whole grilled
It's
cheese.
like almost like getting your stomach stapled, then blow it out. Like
and
some
that
people
happens all the time.
They're
And
going to blow up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
but
they
it's
lose.
so funny how that works because like that seems to be so popular now, basically because like the Kardashians.
Well,
are
they're
on it.
like, they
but
got
their
super
whole
skinny.
thing, they made it where everyone wanted to be curvy.
But then everyone did
And then-
it, so now they
What are they like? They lost all the weight.
they lost
Yeah,
all
they're
the
skinny
the
now.
two of them are like Kim and Chloe. They're like super
From
skinny
this-
now.
But I think
Yeah.
everyone got like the fake like butts and like the
Yeah, they
curvy look,
pushed
and
it in
now
that
you
direction.
just want to be different, right?
Now
So
that
ju-
so they start doing it, and then I mean this is all like allegedly, but they all have the same look. And I know people that did it, and then they're like, "Oh my god, I was passed out, and I went to the hospital over exhaustion." And they're like, "I'm losing my hair. I think it's from COVID." I'm like, no, it's because you lost 40 pounds in 2 months, and they drink like a can of Coca-Cola a day.
The
And that's
scary
it.
thing is a medication like that, they don't know all the research on it yet. It hasn't been around
Of course.
long enough and used in this manner to know all the side effects.
Yeah.
It's too good for nothing to come down. That's
And
the way I look at
I
it.
think the girls that are doing are the ones that don't work out. So they're just like, all right,
Oh,
I know $350 a month for 3 months and I can lose 30 pounds. They're like, sick. All right, I don't have to do anything because I'll just get sick if I
It's
don't.
going to be a roller coaster then their whole life.
But
They're going to
Yeah.
explode
Like
and
that look, that like
go on.
just skinny.
Well, if it's that,
frail look.
yeah, but if it's skinny or like fat, then I guess the
Skinny's
skinny's
better?
probably better than
Right.
than if you're really
Like, I don't know,
fat.
I'll debate on that.
That's how skinny, how fat. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But some of them I figured I'm like girls that like work out are probably taking like I would take other stuff before. Like if I wanted to get in shape, I wouldn't take that because I'm like all their hair's falling out, they look sick. I'd rather take like something
Antibiotic.
that like just pop a few
And at the end of the
antibiotics,
day, someone like that, it's going to be an evil circle and cycle
right?
their
Mhm.
whole life. Like someone who tries a keto diet then blows up after.
Yeah, it's similar.
That's why making food is always important. You have to make it a lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And like I said before, there's so many options now. They stay on it. There wasn't these options when I was a kid.
right.
Like I said
Right.
before, I had, one choice was fucking Walden Farms, Thousand Island calorie dressing. I'd put that
It was
shit.
just fuel. It could have just been a pill, you
Dude,
think, right?
but,
No,
like,
no,
that was the-
no joy. in eating.
Zero. That
Yeah.
was the only thing I remember. Like, oh my God, this thing's the best. Now, when I go to my buddy's nutrition store, I'm like,
Oh,
there's
there's
fucking
endless.
syrups, there's different blueberry
Right.
this. I'm like, if you can't stay on the diet and get shredded now, you're fucked
I
up.
like those. You make those like a pancake, but it's just like banana with egg. and,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That tastes like good pancakes.
Yeah.
and you
they
put like
use-
butter and maple syrup on
Yeah.
it. It tastes like
they
amazing.
have like the
But
0
there-
calories
But
syrup.
there's no pancake powder. It's you've probably done that. Banana,
Yeah.
egg. What else in
just
there?
banana and eggs.
Banana, egg.
Yeah, I've
like,
done that.
Vanilla.
Yeah, but then you
It's
put like some
fucking amazing.
sugar-free stuff on it. It's
Yeah,
delicious.
It's amazing.
This is the thing. Some people, they're so, oh my God, they're so weak
Yeah.
that like if it doesn't taste exactly like
That's
it, there's
wild.
no hope for you.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
You got to give me a little bit, you know?
That's why, like, if I'm gonna cheat with something, it's gonna be something like amazing. Like, I won't cheat for like an average slice of pizza or like a
No, you want something.
something like amazing. Then
Mhm.
I'll have no guilt whatsoever. I'll eat,
Well, you're
Yeah.
also like you're a food snob.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
You enjoy your food, but it's got to be a certain type of like.
If I'm
The
eating
flavor.
junk, it's got to be like something super good, like crazy good. But yeah, I mean, even home, we make like legit dinners every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we like cooking and food. Yeah.
Yeah, you're foodies.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
For sure. When I'm not in camp, I've tried to been the last, I would say year, I've been trying to lift more just to get stronger because I think that's like where I lack. So I do it on my own, but I kind of follow a plan and without like getting too much into it, I kind of do 5 days a week. I do 2 upper, 2 lower, 1 full body. And I do like for 4 weeks, I do like 1 program for 4 weeks, try to do like progressive overload.
Mhm.
Do you think for me in my situation that's like in the right direction? I mean, obviously I'm just telling you baseline.
So like if I was to do a basic strength workout for someone like you just to get stronger,
Mm-hmm.
I would do very simple. You do a push day, a pull day, lower push, lower pull.
Okay.
Okay. So like you do upper push overhead press, bench press, and then some accessory shit like
Mm-hmm.
your tricep extensions, close grip, whatever, right? And then like pull, T-bar rows, heavy rows, or RDLs, or that's on the lower pull day, and then do accessory stuff like bodybuilding type style, a couple exercises.
I think that might be kind of similar to what
It
I
sounds
do.
similar.
What I find best for like fighters, if you're training often and you're in camp, is like a West Side barbell type
Yeah.
style, like conjugate. They do like
Conjugate.
but
Not
you
what
see, like
Dante
when
did?
you're just straight powerlifting, like Louis Simmons did, they had like a max effort upper, day off always. They never train 2 days in a row. Day off, lower body dynamic. You know what I'm talking about? Speed.
We had do you know Dante Leon?
I don't.
He's
I know the name actually.
world champion jiu-jitsu.
know
But
the
he
name.
was here a couple weeks ago, and he trains at Westside Barbell, and he's all about the conjugate program, and he's
Yeah.
as jacked. And
That's a very
shredded as you can
athletic
be.
program, though.
No, that's all. He's obsessed with the
Yeah,
conjugate
it's a very athletic program.
It's
It
a
gets
good.
you big.
If you listen to it, he
It
talks
gets
about
you
that a lot.
strong. So like, and when they're in camp, this trainer Phil DeRue does this, and some other guys do. They do like a lower max effort day and an upper but dynamic in the same day. So you do like your box squats, Bulgarian splits, like an accessory flow, and then your upper would be like ball slams, wall ball throws, hammer swing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the upper body dynamic. Then switch it around. 2 times a week you train, especially when you're in camp.
Mm-hmm.
That's your 2 days of lifting would be that, and then upper max effort would be your pushes, a heavy pull, and then like you do like sled pushes and box jumps.
See, sometimes I think like a new trainer, like a real like scientific trainer who works at a university now, they're doing a lot of that super like, I don't know, innovative or like fluff. I'm not being negative with it, but a lot of it is that. And I think it's about like preservation of the athletes, like to make, your body last longer. Where when I was wrestling and like the guys who I've been like the Brands brothers or Tim Flynn, they were all about just, this is your career. You got 4 years. You got to get as strong and as big or tough as possible. And then at the end, maybe you do have injuries and stuff, but those 4 years, you're going to be really strong.
Yeah, but you're 20 years
There's
old
something
and you
like
only have 4 years. So
Yeah.
you can kind of like push it to the, you know what I mean? You don't want to push it to the point where you're, right before the season, you tear your ACL.
Yeah, they worry about like tapering sometimes a little too much. I
So
think.
about this, right? I just read about this because I heard this term and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? You ever hear something called lactic buffering?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what lactic buffering is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so instead to acclimate your body to the lactic acid, you just keep pounding down physical activity.
Mhm.
But they cinch the physical activity off it and hold the lactic acid in the muscle to buffer the muscle without using it.
Okay.
So it acclimates to it like a bike sprint.
Yeah, I was gonna say bike sprint.
And then you hold a static hold after. I found it very interesting. It's to
It is
preserve,
interesting.
preserve the athlete for the wear and tear.
We
Smart.
That
we
makes
used to do
sense.
a workout. They would call it lactate sets, and it was either bench, squat, or cleans. It was 2 reps every 20 seconds for 20 minutes.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Insane.
Release tremendous amounts of growth hormone doing that too.
Yeah.
Lactic acid elevation.
So
into
what
your
do you?
body.
So you ride the aerodyne, then you do like an isometric.
Yeah, let's just use the aerodyne for your legs, right?
Mhm.
Because most sports you're in a squatted athletic position. You sprint on a bike for X amount of seconds, and then you hold a static position,
Like a lunge, or
like a
stance.
like a wall squat
squat,
or
yeah.
just free squat for X amount of seconds. You're not moving, you're not using and contracting the muscle, but you're buffering the muscle with the lactic acid, acclimating to get used to it for a duration of time. It's pretty smart,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you have your guys do that? No.
I actually know it.
Are you going to?
I'm gonna try it on myself. I always try stuff on myself first.
Yeah.
I do, and then I
Yeah.
apply it. I always have to know how it feels. How do you know? How do you know it works?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I love the strength training too. I love all that stuff. I find it fascinating.
I like it when I'm like not in camp.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in camp, I'm like, I don't know, I'm too sore. I can't like when I'm like tired from like a training session, then I go to like lift weights. I'm like, I can't motivate myself to do this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
sure.
when I'm not in camp, I'm like, it's
It's a
so
lot of
weird.
work.
Yeah. And
It's a
I'm
lot
just
of
like,
work.
I'm not like, I'm just not I don't know how to like push myself physically, like when I'm lifting.
Mm.
But if someone's in front of me and I just have to like, and I'm getting beat up and I just have to go harder, I can do that.
Well,
But-
because there's ego attached to that too, right? You don't want
yeah.
the person to think that they did something, they beat you or are better than you. Where lifting, it's like,
I kind of always
you.
too. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not like, I don't know. I'm like, no, I'm like, I'm not strong, but I can still like beat girls up. So it's kind of like, whatever. I remember when I lived in Jersey, I would do strength training where it was like a bunch of like a sports complex place where, so I would be going sometimes at the same times like high school soccer girls were lifting and they like are squatting like 4 times. They're like, they're probably like 30 pounds lighter than me and they look like little girls, but they're squatting like 3 times the amount of me. And I'm like, but I wouldn't even get like it wouldn't motivate me. I was just like, whatever, I can fuck them up.
Yeah, that's funny. Last thing I kind of wanted to talk about. Neither of us are from Long Island, but I've lived here now for like 9 years and I've always came here. What is it about Long Island that like gym culture, being jacked, like that is like,
that is
so
Long Island.
that's like, you're like a quintessential Long Island guy. Like, no, but like, you know, like jacked.
I was. Not
but like, why is gym culture so big here? What is that? I think
it's just where it is, and it just stayed. You know, it might have just started so many years ago and just got carried through the generations. Is there a reason why though? Because we live near the beach and just
maybe
very
because Jersey's sort of like that too.
I lived in Jersey, and all the gyms I went to there are there's bodybuilding. I mean, now it seems like now bodybuilding's super popular everywhere.
It's even more popular now, I think, than ever.
Oh, because of Instagram.
Oh,
I just
my
think
God.
it's out of control now. From even when I was little, I mean, there was no social media.
But I feel like the physiques now, like the crazy like rhino looking dudes, like I don't think that people are trying to look.
No,
like
that looks not
out.
there.
Instagram fit.
They're looking to be like Instagram fit.
Yeah.
You know, so me growing up, you know,
you wanted to be like a rhino, right?
There was no MMA.
No.
The biggest guy was the toughest guy on the block, as we know now, which isn't true, and I've seen it.
But my dad still thinks that.
But like the biggest guy, so all of us strove to be the 300-pound bodybuilder, the ripped sweatshirt.
That's the scariest guy.
The scariest guy, the biggest guy, fucking, you know. And I remember when I went to high school, dudes that were like fucking men. They were like 200-something pounds using shit in high school. Yeah. It was a totally different generation. Even when the gyms I went to, you know, when I was a little kid.
How old are you?
I'm 45, going to be 46.
45. So like in the 90s, it was just
in the early 90s. Dude. It's way worse now. That was a meathead gym then. I heard it's fucking out of control.
I heard that's it. Or a couple of my good friends work out there.
And but the look changed. It used to be the biggest fucking, you know, but even at the end of the day, those were like guys training and shit.
Right.
Now it's like this fucking half or whatever looking, wearing fucking white sneakers and makes me puke. There was some kid the other day. I'm like, oh my God, bro, you look like half a female.
Yeah. Well, that's like
that look is not.
Well, because before you were doing it for a lot of people were doing it to look good, and then they would be so into it that they would do bodybuilding shows. But now they're doing half of it, like they're not doing that intense, but just enough where they look jacked on social media. I think because
there could be a potential to be like some type of influencer. Like there's some value in being probably more value now than ever before. Like bodybuilders and stuff before, and there was really nothing in it.
There was nothing.
Right.
Period. You're
just spending crazy money.
Yeah, it was just a different day.
But now you could.
Yeah, like, you could make money, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like online trainers.
I mean, dude. I mean,
that's pretty big.
The opportunity is just so much bigger with the social media platform. Has just changed everything.
Yeah, everything
so much. I mean, at the end of the day, also it's like the look to be that slimmer, like more. It definitely is a healthier look. The drugged up 300-pound bodybuilder, even that is.
You do see guys still like that, some, but
there are. You'll still get those meatheads, you know, and. But I actually do think it is better that the look changed into like that classic physique look. That 70s, they still use a tremendous amount of shit.
Well, like even Arnold. Like Arnold now, people would be like, he's not even ripped. But like that's like a more attractive.
Way physique. More because they look good and close.
Yes.
You know, still jacked as fuck.
Yeah.
But they don't look like.
They're not dripping sweat when all
like
the time.
300-pound monster.
They look like sort of like not natural, but like.
Doesn't look like a freak.
They look normal.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that guy looks good and he's jacked.
Like some 300-pound like Rhino, they're not going to be like, oh, we're going to sign him for the Terminator. Like,
no, definitely not. No, it's just I think
aesthetic is the word, right?
Aesthetic. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think
it's going back towards that.
I also think too, being like near the beach and stuff, because when I grew up in Pennsylvania, so when I went to college in Jersey, when I moved there, that was when I was like, oh my God, everyone's like
a meathead.
Everyone, guys and girls.
Everyone's a meathead.
I would go to the gym. I'm like, wait, you guys don't like, because I was only around like fighting gyms, and every gym I would go into, I was like, I feel like I don't fit in here because I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't know if it was just the gyms I would go to.
Down here in like the early 2000s, like when I was in college, I'd come here with my friends all the time. like that I went to college with, and then but back then, like Long Island had more of a going out culture. Like there's like Mirage and Neptune,
tons of
and
clubs
Posh,
here,
like real clubs. Like people from like Queens and stuff would take limos.
absolutely.
Out here.
Yeah, you're absolutely
But
right.
that doesn't happen anymore, right? I don't think.
As in terms of the clubs, it was funny. I just had this conversation with someone the other day, who still goes out all the time.
Is there clubs now?
The club industry, why there is none? Because it's dead.
But there is none, right?
No, there is none.
Because I wasn't sure if I'm just like out of touch now. But I used to go to
Me
all
too.
those
That's what I was
Mirage,
thinking. But there are no clubs because it's a dead industry. The restaurant thing that turns into a nightclub.
Yeah, like
It's the
restaurants.
popular.
Yeah.
That's the thing now.
But it's a different scene. It's not.
I don't even go out, but I mean that's what people do to go out.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's the restaurant and the DJ and all that shit. That's what.
But I think it's like a thing where like everyone gets on the East Coast, whether it's like Long Island, New Jersey, like they like to work out and then they kind of prep for the summer. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of part of the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. There was tons of that.
Yeah.
But I like that. That's like.
Yeah.
Part of it.
I like that because then sometimes you go to like we kind of grew up in small towns and it's like people once they get to a certain age they don't like work out anymore. And it's like now I think it's changing where people see the health benefits of it. But I love when I moved to New Jersey, New York, I'm like, there's like women that are like 50, 60 years old and they're fucking shredded. I'm like, it's kind of cool to see,
For sure.
But
yeah. So you started a new app. We'll just give what's your social media?
What's my social media? Vinny Uzi.
Vinny Uzi. And you do online coaching? I
do online coaching. Subscriptions for workouts is coming soon.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, but social media could change your whole, it's insane.
Yeah.
How it just exploded overnight, know?
Shout out to Zane.
Definitely cool. Zane, my man right there.
But I really appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely.
Pretty informative stuff.
We'll put you will put your social in the captions and everything.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Fun. Absolutely.
We'll look to have more guests on like Vinny.
Thanks guys. I appreciate it.
Bye.
All right.